And that's why I don't recommend getting bit by a spider. What's going on, everybody? This is the Coverbandconfidential podcast, a podcast for cover band musicians and band leaders to learn to rock more inside Glass in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm Adam Johnson.
In Greensboro, North Carolina, not recommending surgery-worthy bone spurs. Dan Ray.
Yeah, you know, we're just in the hurt locker.
Calamitous sort of operation over here.
Yeah. You know, call it karma. I don't know. This is just the state of affairs.
So it's healing. You're on the mend.
Well, yes, but the I'm almost 100% certain this was a brown recluse, which it's got its own kind of special, venom cocktail, and it does a lot of things, and I'm currently experiencing all of them. The only thing I can say, it's really upped my tolerance for antihistamines. I can take more than one Benadryl now and not be totally zonked out. I got that going for me.
Yeah, you can take big boy antihistamines and not be.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm just kind of like terrified to be in public or go anywhere with shorts without, fear of scaring small children and grown adults.
Yeah, I gotcha.
It's not pretty.
Yeah.
How about you?
Recovery continues apace. I'm now fully walking in the boot and it's wiping me out. I'm at the end of the day, I'm like zonked. And PT said, look, the rule here is just like if you were training for a marathon or something, you want to increase your step count by no more than 10% a week. And in fact, I went from 0 steps basically to 1,500 or so, which is not a lot, but it's more than 10% in that first week. And so not a surprise. I'd be pretty beaten up. I'm now doing PT twice a week. And it's full, strengthening and stretching, and he warms me up on a stationary bike for 15 minutes, and then we do a bunch of things, and which is also homework, doing that at home.
Yep.
So yeah, a lot of good hard work, but I'm mobile. I can drive myself places. I can walk to places after I've driven there.
Well, you also said that you had done something you hadn't done in a while.
Yes, I did. I have renewed my membership at the Y and had a first day there today, obviously sticking upper body, but first time I've done that in quite a while. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow and the next day. It's going to be exciting. My wife and I are going and trading sets on the machines. She's never been a weightlifting kind of worker outer or a circuit machine kind of person. And so I've done a bunch of that in the past, and so we're kind of being partners on that, and we've agreed that we're going to be really mad at each other over the next couple of days for how we feel. We're going to blame each other a lot, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, I just want to see Marcy just totally ripped.
Jacked, just completely,
Can't wait.
5'1" and ripped. Yeah,
love that.
What's going to happen?
Well, speaking of gyms, I have this is my post gig wrap up talk.
Your gym gig.
I played it right. Yeah. So. I'm playing at the Lifetime Fitness. It's at like a 90-minute, 2 hours, once a month in exchange for a membership. I'm not going currently because, again, giant, open, scary thing without, we're just not going to do that. But by the time I do get back, the cold plunge pool will be finished, and I'll be able to, partake in that. And I'll just FaceTime Schulte from the cold plunge, and we can do ours together cross country.
Teeth chattering, hold on yards.
Yep, it's a whole thing. So I have taken these gigs as kind of like an incubator because the crowds aren't typically big and I can't really promote it. So all I need to do is show up and do a good job. And it's a good place to try stuff out. I've added a lot of tunes that I haven't done before. I was talking to you guys about Benny and the Jets, trying to figure out what that A flat diminished kind of walk up thing was. Turns out nobody's doing it the right way, so I don't have to worry about it. And then I decided, you know what? I got these both wireless 360 tubes. Why don't I just plug my headphone output from my Voice Live into the Maestro DMX and then shoot it to a couple of these tubes on either side of me. It worked flawlessly. It did exactly what I thought it would do, and I can't recommend that system more. The 360 tubes are very different from all the other light fixtures that I carry, but they're also way more versatile and easier to set up. And with the wireless DMX built in, the whole thing, I literally just had to throw this and the wireless guy into my existing bag.
So easy. Between that and the battery power of them, it's it takes nothing. You pull them out of the bag, stand them up, remember to charge them. There's that. But apart from that, it's a piece of cake. Now, you were coming out of your vocal effects pedal. Was it hearing your guitar out of that?
Yes.
Okay. So it was guitar and vocals. It was your whole show driving it. And do you feel like it was hearing the beats well and making good show out of it?
Yes. If anything, it was just, very honest about how inconsistent my internal meter might be.
Well, yeah.
When it was working, it was working. But when I was being a bit more, let's say, artistic, it wasn't always lining up.
Okay.
But as long as I was on point, it was on point. The only thing that I'll say about that is that all of the lights that I've programmed are for an 80s band show. And let's say that that's not necessarily congruous with solo acoustic stuff on everything.
Yeah.
I'd say for the most part, it worked great. But there were definitely a couple times where I was like, let's bring the mood down. And it was just like rainbow waterfalls, like just as hard as it could go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not the machine's fault. That's my fault for not putting different scenes in to use it from.
Right. It does make me think that supplementing that whole automation stuff with something manual, a controller that you can just bail out of a particular preset in,
Sure.
would be a worthy addition to the rig.
Thought about it. In this case, this was a proof of concept deal.
Yeah.
And it's oddly enough, like I posted both the setup kind of proof video and then the actual like what it looked like in the room video, and both of those went very well. Everybody's very interested. And the cool thing is that if you are interested in either of those products, we've got the same discount code for both of them. It's discount for CBC. You can save 10% off the Maestro DMX. You can save 5% off of the both 360 tubes. We'll put the links to that in the show notes.
Very cool.
Go save yourself some money and up your production deal. Yep. And I'll probably throw a thing in for the Donner wireless DMX deal.
It's a crucial part of it. I wouldn't want to do any of this wired. I mean, actually, the DMX doesn't have... You'd have to do adapters and stuff. I think it has a jack for DMX, but it's not a standard 5-pin. It's something else.
If it is, it's like, I haven't found it.
Maybe it doesn't.
Yeah.
Maybe it's only wireless.
Yeah. Ultimately, for the money, like, as a person who's done it hardwired,
Yeah, don't.
Trust me. Don't put yourself through that. So that's pretty much it. Nothing coming up this week. I'm still trying to get the band together for a vocal rehearsal, and I have been very bad and not sent out my 1099s officially. So I need to like get those out on Monday without fail. They've been bugging me about it, and I've just been ADHD and I've got them. Like, they're done. I had to send them in January. I just I'm a bad. Hi, my name's Adam. I'm a bad band leader.
Yeah. Well, we've all got something.
Speaking of getting something, this week we asked last week for some reviews, and we got some. I got another one in the chamber. We didn't hit our limit, our record. We didn't hit 100.
Well,
I did want to shout this one out specifically because this came from Jeff Grant. Now, a couple of episodes ago, you would recall that Jeff was the gentleman who was kind enough to do our outro, and as a way of saying thanks, we added him to the Slack because it was something he had mentioned that he really wanted to be a part of. And as he's been in it for the past couple of weeks, he decided to send us a little testimonial. And this is what he has to say about that.
So now I've got access to the Slack. I can definitely verify that there's some good discussions and advice in there. Besides Adam and Dan, you might know some other members like this drummer dude named Mike. He's always got some good things to say. And if you make the next outro message, maybe they'll grant you access to the Slack as well. I really think you want to be part of it.
So honestly, like, I think for somebody who's been in it less than a month with, no skin in the game other than just like being a participant, I couldn't think of a more glowing,
super cool
recommendation.
Super cool. Yeah, glad to have you. He's contributed a lot, and obviously a big part of a community that's making a difference for a lot of people. So,
yep. And that's what we're all here for. We're here to make a difference. Okay. And, we don't really have any housekeeping, and so we can just kind of roll that right into the topic of conversation.
It's all about making a difference.
That's right. So this is something that kind of fell into my lap just purely by happenstance, but it really got me thinking about kind of the big picture, long-term deal for what you and I and this community at large is, let's say, responsible for, really. So I had mentioned this the past few episodes that my son got roped into doing the pit band for Chicago, and he did a phenomenal job. He had less than 3 weeks to prep for this thing, and he crushed it. So much so that remember I had said that there's like this like secret shopper thing where like they're reviewing these student productions and that there's a whole award deal around it. Well, his band was nominated for Pit Band of the Year.
Wow.
So in a couple of weeks, we're going to get dressed up and go to this massive concert hall to go to that award show.
Awesome.
So couldn't be prouder, proud dad stuff, all of that cool stuff. But in doing so, it's kind of got his gears turning about maybe I should be playing bass more and what that looks like. And so in his situation, he volunteers at our church, and we've talked about this before, that we're one of those churches where musicians performing during worship, that's a paid gig and a pretty solid source of work if you're up for it. And so I was kind of in this moment where I was like, hey, have you reached out to anybody that you know? Because this is one of those things where like he's got a network of people because he's already volunteering in these places. So this isn't even something where I can like throw some weight around to like get a recommendation. It's kind of, I guess, reverse nepotism, if anything. So the thing that I've been trying to do is trying to help himself into getting into these opportunities because, he's got a summer job. He's, a freshman in high school and getting his permit and whatever. And he's got a job lined up for the summer, but these gigs, he can make a couple $100 in a single day that he wouldn't necessarily have. So, this is something that could really benefit him and put him in a totally different kind of echelon of things that like I had to fight tooth and nail for like into my 20s to even get my foot in the door. And so ultimately the question is, what are we doing to coach the next generation of musicians that are coming up behind us? And this is kind of a sticky wicket because I feel like a lot of folks are not only not interested in this, but actively working against it.
Well, yeah. I mean, the folks who play in their same classic rock band they've been in for 40 years, I think there's probably some resistance to some newcomers coming up. And what are they going to want to play? Lady Gaga? Come on. But yeah, they are. They actually are. And there's reason for that. And there's good business behind that. And if we, as the established generation, can support them, can nurture that, then we're putting live music in a good place for years to come. People keep talking about live music is dead, dying, on its way out. Hard to see any other future if we're not busy investing in that.
Right. And this is one of those situations where if you're operating from the wrong mindset, it's not necessarily intuitive to you.
Yeah.
If you're scarcity minded, you're going, well, if I teach somebody how to get a gig, then they're going to take that gig away from me. Yeah. And ultimately, I don't want that because it's more about me than it is about, the greater good.
But, listen, the thing of it is, intergenerational bands are an amazing thing.
They look weird.
They look weird. They do. They look weird. I've worked with my partner Taylor since 2018, something like that. I started playing music with her when I was subbing on guitar for Viva La Muerte, and she was on fiddle there, and she was 17 years old at the time. And so we started playing together as an acoustic duo when she was like 19, 20, something like that. And it very much was like, I can run the whole thing here, but wouldn't you like to be part of the business, part of the organization of it? Your name's on it. So let's have it be ours and not mine with you as a guest. And she really stepped into that. And it's great to see her professionalism having grown so much over the years and her capacity to just be on stage. She was, man, when I met her, she was literally working to physically hide on stage as much as possible. Like very, very not, out front. And now she'll banter with me. We're in the co-front person kind of business. And, there was the night when we were doing, What's Up, Four Non Blondes, which she sings. And I snuck over to her and the crowd was into it. They always are. That's when, what always happens when that song is being played was happening. And she didn't have the instinct to like call for them to sing it and shut up and give them room to sing it. And I snuck over and I put that in her ear and she did it. And he like fully got it, completely understood like, oh, that's a massive engagement moment. And we want to We want to lean into that. And she's done that ever since. It's been great to be part of developing her in her stage presence and in her professionalism as a musician. And at the same time, I've watched her graduate college, get finally the right boyfriend after a couple that weren't. Now she's married to him. To be part of her life as she grows, both as a musician and personally, has been just incredibly rewarding. So, feel free to reach out. Like there are bands I know of that have 4 50-year-old guys and a 23-year-old girl on keyboards. And it's great. It's great. Like she brings an energy that they wouldn't have had. She brings a sensibility about content that they wouldn't have had. As long as they're open to that, as long as they have like the flexibility of mind to take input from the youth, boy, it's a great thing.
Well, and it's kind of interesting because I'm not necessarily looking at bringing him into what we're doing. It's more about kind of providing the right information for him to kind of do it on his own. And this is a thing that I'm very sensitive to. My wife is always getting on me about this, where I felt like my parents interjected on my behalf a lot, and it kind of bugged me in certain circumstances. So I might be more hands-off than other parents might be. And so I'm a bit sensitive to that. But in this case, he's got somebody who is kind of running a particular stage, and he's already got a personal relationship with him. The only thing that I did is kind of push him in the right direction. I was like, you just volunteered, send him a text tonight, say, hey, I just finished doing this thing. I'd like an opportunity to play bass in this environment. And because we were driving on the way home from something, I was like, do this now. And so he actually did. He followed through. And so, the guy came back and was like, all right, if you want to do this, here's the things you need to do.
Right.
And just providing whatever resources I can. Like, hey, do you need help dialing in a sound? Do you need help recording this? Do you need help, whatever? Because ultimately, I can't do those things for him. No. All I can do is provide kind of periphery information to help him prepare for it and not necessarily feel so out of sorts. But if it continues, there's going to be a lot more to talk about. He's not ever been like a performer necessarily. So that's another skill that he's got to work up. And I mean, he'll never want for gear. Whatever he needs, I've got,
for sure.
So it's a matter of trying to find the right balance between giving them good information and intervening on their behalf. That's the thing that I'm currently kind of weighing.
Yeah. No, I think your instinct is right about that. I think the more we can have them do it on their own, the better equipped they are to do it for life. That's been sort of at the foundation of my parenting and my being a manager at work and all of that. Like, I'm not really going to do anything for you. Happy to coach you, happy to hold your hand, happy to give guidance and, opinions. I'm full of them, but you're going to do it yourself because it needs to be yours.
Yeah. So if you've got somebody kind of in your orbit that you think might benefit from some of your wisdom, maybe consider leaning into that a bit. And frankly, if you don't, that's probably not good either.
Yeah.
And you should probably reflect on that.
Yeah.
Because if you aren't in a position to share what you know with somebody who's not as far along as you, you're probably not in the right rooms. You need to find a better room to be in.
Yeah, or a different room. Circles are too small.
Yeah.
Common thing these days is that people's circles are too small. I think we could all stand to expand some.
Well, and it's also something that I think is important as you go through this industry. I just listened to a podcast, Richard Marx, surprisingly, that I would be a fan of. He has a podcast, and it's just literally him drinking cocktails or wine with one of his famous friends. I listened to the one with Paul Stanley, which was the first one. And then he recently interviewed Kenny Loggins. For those of you who follow along with him, he just finished his farewell tour. He's not touring anymore. And he was talking a lot about, what his next phase looks like. And they were getting very into the minutia of mentoring. In his case, he can produce other people artists and that kind of thing. And Richard Marx is one of the judges for The Voice in Australia this year. So he's also kind of taking on this mantle of being a mentor. And they kind of positioned it from the lens of being parents, because that's a thing that they've already been,
Right.
as a way to kind of like focus their attention and information and wisdom or whatever. And it was just kind of interesting to hear them kind of talk about that. Have we talked about the whole like crystalline intelligence versus fluid intelligence?
No, I don't think so.
So there's a book, and I don't know the name of the person, and you can yell at us in an email, coverbandconfidential@gmail.com, if you've heard about this. It's this guy, I think was like a financial analyst or like a political analyst, and he came up with this concept that, like, as far as creativity goes, you've got fluid intelligence up to around 50, where you are just able to kind of pull things out of the ether. And that's why like most artists kind of find their creative fire in that kind of 20s to 30s era, because they've got the most amount of confidence and the least amount of self-doubt, and they can just put stuff out there and not necessarily feel the existential dread that, older people have. And over time, that fluidness hardens, and then you have what's called crystalline intelligence, which is wisdom, the things that you can give to other people that you've acquired over the years. And I understand it from a very base level. There's probably 100 of other people who could better explain that whole idea. But it is one of those situations where, as you go through things and you're kind of looking back and you have stuff to share, we started this whole thing because we realized that even where we were in our journey 8 some odd years ago, that we had accumulated some information that might be beneficial to other people. Yeah. And so we decided that this is the way that we were going to share that. And listen, we were generous to you, ding-dongs.
That's right. That's right.
The least you could do is pay it forward to the next group behind you.
Yeah, something you need to get on the stick.
That's all we're saying, really. Is just be willing to step up. Because we managed to do it for y'all. We didn't even know you.
We weren't even sure we had anything to say.
And, you guys have proved us wrong on occasion. Yeah. But other times, you're like, no, you guys are totally
Yeah, no, this was sometimes like nice filler episode, guys.
Listen, sometimes, you can just reply back, fair critique.
Yeah. Fair.
I needed that.
Fair hit.
It's totally fine. Time will tell if this is a thing that he decides to do long term or whatever, but it's been just kind of cool because, again, up to this point, I've been very hands off, not trying to push him in a direction. Don't want to feel like I don't want him to feel like there's any pressure from me or his mother about what direction we want him to go in. And he's kind of came into this on his own and seems to enjoy it and is game for it. So
yeah, I'll tell you, parenting an arts kid, it's a crazy thing. The show that my child is in, which is Mary Poppins, goes up next weekend, which means that, Hell Week starts Tuesday. And for those of you who've done theater, you know what I mean by Hell Week. Today was their first full run through. They had a really short production schedule because they're the middle age group that this kids theater company does. And the seniors are doing Chicago. Yeah. The teen version. And so there you go. And it's a complex show. I mean, the whole company has put a lot of attention on that. And the Mary Poppins cast, they've gotten that show together in a month less time than they usually take. And so she came home from today, and it was a full run today. And she was like, oh no, we're not. I mean, I know my part, but oh my God. And so, it'll be an interesting show when we go see it this weekend. But we sent her to a magnet school in town that is the fine arts, performing arts magnet, thinking that she would be part of their theater program. Was super excited about that. And they do this thing where you declare a major, and really what that means is that's where 2 of your electives will go for the year rather than just 1. And she was going to be a theater major. It was kind of a no-brainer, obviously. She was going to do that. First semester, she had theater and loved it. This semester, she has chorus. And she came to us about 2 weeks into the semester and said, I want to change my major. I don't want to do theater major. I want to do chorus major. I'm really loving chorus. And we were all like, really? What about theater? That was your whole thing. And she said, yeah, I'll just keep doing theater with stage lights, the separate, the thing that I'm in. And I want to do chorus over here because it's really great. And I was like, cool, great, go do that. That's awesome. So she's got some good buddies in chorus and has really, really loved it. Just kind of knew that from her second week of it. That's where she wanted to focus herself for the next year. And part of it is she's always had this, I want to do two things. I love them both. I can't decide. I'm going to sit here and have a total meltdown because I can't decide. So she came to us with that sort of change of direction with a little bit of edge of that. Like, I don't know, I can't, like stuck on it. And it took like unpacking, wait, so you're getting great theater experience out of stage lights and you're loving that and you want to keep doing that, right? It's like, yeah, 100%. Cool. And you must really be loving chorus because we're like a couple weeks in and you're saying you want to do that as your main thing. It's like, yeah. It's like, okay, well, is the decision made then? She said, yeah, great. Okay, fine. Yeah. Good. And I think you have to be ready for a lot of pivots as an arts parent because it's a lot of pivots and a lot of this week is she's not going to get a lot of sleep.
Yeah, and I mean, these kinds of things are always going to be fluid. And the thing I'm really trying to just work on is just keeping my enthusiasm under wraps because I want to just sit here and just like talk shop all day long. And I know that's not what he's got other interests and stuff. Right. So, right. It's cool to have those moments and share them. We're now looking at this like, hey, I feel like this is totally getting into like a heavier parenting deal than I was willing to not unrelated think about.
Yeah.
Is that like, I feel like you have kids and there's this period where it's just really hard and you're like, you just kind of want them to kind of like just get a little bit older, kind of a little bit more independent, a little more kind of along the way, because it can be really time consuming and frustrating and all of those things. And then you get to this point and then you're like, wait. And they're just like, you're on the other end of it and they're running out of time. Right. So any opportunity, I mean, he still wants to hang out with us. I want to
absolutely
take advantage of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then there are those moments that they have a breakthrough in it that you recognize. She came home from her voice lesson one time. She's been in private voice coaching for about a year now. Came home from that one day and said, Dad, I finally got it about having my vocal support be vertical. It's like, oh yeah. No, I remember that day. I remember instead of like singing wide, sing tall, and like that gives you a certain, you know what I'm talking about. Those of you singers know exactly what I mean. And she now knows exactly what I mean. That was a good day. It's like, oh yeah, let's sing some stuff, because she was ready. Had like a new, a fifth of range that she didn't have before. Literally that lesson.
And listen, I know a lot of you guys only listen to this, but you should go and check out the video version of this conversation, because you can see in our faces just the amount of energy that these positive things give us. And I'm just throwing it out there that if you aren't in the business of mentoring other people, you are missing out on this really amazing experience.
Totally.
And, even parenting aside, you get that same benefit from helping other people that you don't have any vested interest in also. Yeah. One of the things that this podcast and everything has kind of taught me is how much I enjoy coaching and like talking to folks and helping them along their way.
Yeah.
And it's something I never considered until the opportunity presented itself, and it's something that I really like. So
yeah, there's something about that moment in every band coaching conversation we've had where one of us says something and that whole group's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like there's just nothing more satisfying. There's nothing more, being able to contribute something like that is just, it's just such a joy. It's such a fulfillment. And find people in your orbit to give that to.
Could not agree more. And let's just call it on that.
All right. Perfect.
Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Man, this was a lot heavier than I was expecting. We were kind of going back and forth on what to cover, and this one just felt like the right thing to do, and man, we went for it. So I'm certain we'll get some emails from some parents and other folks about this one. But if you if this made you feel anything at all, let us know about it. Coverbandconfidential@gmail.com. Leave a comment if you're watching this on YouTube. And love y'all. Hopefully this time next week I'll be able to wear pants without having to do a bunch of collateral bandage treatment stuff.
Hope so.
Bringing it back out. It was good. It was like warm and cozy, and then I had to
go back to the
make it
bite.
gross again.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. Oh, well. In Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Adam Johnson.
Greensboro, North Carolina, I'm Dan Ray.
Y'all have been listening to the Coverband Confidential podcast for the week of March 21st, 2025.